good morning and welcome to Monday Minutes with Kelly and Jesse. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Jesse. And this week we're going to be talking with special guest Andrew about reports and account lines in Koha. Welcome, Andrew.
Good morning. Hello.
Good morning, Andrew. Let's talk about some changes that are happening in 1905.
Right. So 1905 is making some changes to the account lines table. Some basic data structure changes that are ultimately going to be helpful. So prior to 1905, so currently and all the way back, fines in particular in the account lines table get recorded in a way that conflates the type of charge and the status of the charge. Because we have within the account lines table a field for account type that tells us what kind of charge is this. And that can be a fine or a lost item or a processing fee. So we've got lots of reports written to look at this. That's a pretty common question. How do I break up what types of charges these are? But within fines, we've got type F for a fine, and then also type FU for a fine that is still updating, an accruing fine, which works well enough, but really, truly, those are two different types of things. An FU fine is still a fine. It's a fine that is still updating. So ideally, those would be two separate spots in the table to say this is a fine and this is its status. So that's the change that's coming in 1905. We're changing the account type column to not say F or FU anymore. They're all just going to say overdue, and then the account lines dot status will tell you the status of that fine. And I am currently blanking on what those values are. Let me find them, because I do have a handy dandy report that will tell me. Yeah, here we go. So those will now be account type overdue with the three possible values of forgiven, returned, or unreturned. So what was previously an FU fine will now be account type overdue, status unreturned. And then once that item comes back, the place where currently this would be account type F will now be account type overdue, status returned. Well, and then I should include F4, FFOR, which was a fine that had been forgiven, that will now be overdue, forgiven.
Okay.
So it's just going to be a little bit easier to write reports on, to make sure if I'm looking at overdues, I get all of them. I don't accidentally get only things that are set or only things that are accruing. So better data structure. These are all spelled out in the FAQ in the manual. So if we really want to dig into all of those.
We can put that in the blog post. We'll put that link in the blog post.
The issue we run into, though, is that we have changed the data that's in these tables. And this change is going to be retroactive. When you upgrade to 1905, the upgrade process goes back through your account lines table, finds all of your old fines, and changes them from F or FU or F4 to overdue. And that means all of the reports you have in your system now that are currently looking for account types F or FU or F4, those aren't going to find anything anymore, because all of your old data will now use these new values, which means we've got a bunch of reports we need to change to make them find data. So let me kind of show you what that looks like. Here we have a test site that is currently on 1811. So it's on the version that all of our partners are on now, using F, FU, and F4. So if we grab a simple report here, to look at fines. This is just listing every unpaid fine in my system. Pretty basic stuff. Give me some borrower information, how much they owe, and the fine description. From account lines and borrowers, and we're saying only show me fines that have, or I should say fees, account lines entries that have the account type F or FU, and some money is still owed in them. So this is a pretty simple one. I would say probably most reports that librarians are actually using now to look at fines do something more complicated than this, but this will be a good one for demonstration. So if I run this, ta-da, list of all my fines. Easy stuff. Here I've got the exact same report on another test site that is using 1905.
Yep.
So at this point, that data has all been changed. So if I run a report here saying, show me account lines entries where account type is F or FU, it's going to run successfully, but it's not going to find anything. Because remember, the upgrades process went through and changed all of those account lines from F to overdue, from FU to overdue. So this, has some messy potential because it's not going to tell you this report is broken. And it's just going to say, oh, we don't have any fines. So if you were running a report every Monday to say, show me all the unpaid fines from last week, suddenly that report is coming up empty when it really shouldn't be. Now, I think most libraries, if that came up empty, they would say, wow, something has gone wrong here. But it's not great to give you incorrect search results there. Struggled with incorrect because it's not. It's correct based on what we asked for, but we need to change what we asked for. We can't ask for F and FU anymore. Luckily, this is a pretty easy change. I'm going to edit my report and say, I don't want to see account type F and FU anymore. I only want to see account type overdue, because remember, those all changed to overdue.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take that out. I'm also going to take out in, because we really only need to use in if we're looking for multiple values. Since now I'm just looking for overdue, I can just say where account type equals overdue.
Well, that was easy.
Yeah. And there's all my fines that didn't show up before. Now, I might want to also include that status field in here.
Yeah.
That was going to be my question, Andrew. That was going to be my question.
My original report probably would have been more helpful if it had been telling me from the get-go whether these were accruing fines or set fines. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I can just throw that in here. I'll say add status as another field. So I can see I've got a bunch of unreturned fines.
That really does make it a lot clearer.
Yeah, it does.
Because who remembers what FU means?
Seriously, and I'm so glad we're going to stop saying that.
And yeah, we get a lot of tickets that are people asking for explanation of what all those different statuses are. Because there's a lot of them. Anytime you run into one of Koha's mysterious list of letter codes. Although, to point back again at that FAQ in the manual, it has a whole bunch of those things. It is a great resource whenever you run into what are these different account types, what are the different status codes and serials, all that stuff that you never really run into until you start poking at things through reports.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the basic fix for this. It should be pretty easy. Now, that said, reports that look at patron accounts tend to be complicated. So I'm sure there will be some that will be a little harder to puzzle out. But basically, it's any place where you have told a report to look for fines. You just need to change that from F and FU to overdue.
So if anyone, when you get upgraded and you experience these changes, if you try to make the changes yourself and you're unsuccessful, please contact us, submit a ticket, and we can look at those reports for you.
And our support department is well aware of this, and we are getting a plan to be proactive in these changes. So more to come about that. But I really appreciate this, Andrew. Every day I learn a little bit more about Koha reports, and now more about Koha report in the account lines.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Andrew. Have a great week, Jesse.
Have
Andrew?
a great